Today, I'll be talking about informal settlements, livelihood, and livability, glimpses from Mumbai. This research lecture is part of the training from the project What is in a Meter, working towards efficient, socially inclusive, and environmentally sensitive energy and water infrastructure in the global south. Uh, this particular lecture is the part of the series of lecture that has been developed to sensitize as well as to train people to understand, and students mostly, to understand the importance of the metering technology, the meter, and the policy interventions to make efficient and socially inclusive infrastructure in the global south. And we will be mostly be dealing with the city of Mumbai in India, and to understand the factors that actually influences this social inclusivity of this particular infrastructure. I would first give a brief introduction to what is Mumbai and what is the composition of people, heterogeneity, and housing structures in Mumbai city. Uh, First, to briefly introduce myself, I am assistant professor at Center for Urban Science and Engineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. I am also the principal investigator from IIT Bombay site. This project, as we all know, is in collaboration with the T-Site University. Specifically, my research interests are infrastructure planning, location allocation modeling, application of ICT in urban and regional planning, urban policy assessment. And I'm associated with almost all of the work plans and its implementation strategy and the way the project would be taken forward in the city of Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. Given this background, what I would now like to tell you what about this particular research module, lecture module, where I'll be talking about the social and economic heterogeneity in the city of Mumbai. We will be discussing about the livability conditions and living conditions in the quarter settlements of Mumbai, and how the evolution of the housing and the slum rehabilitation policy has happened since independence in 1947, and how it has shaped the city and the texture that we see today. Given this background, if you can see this particular image, this shows a stark difference in the housing pattern or habitat itself in the city of Mumbai. You see the blue roofs. These are basically the squatter settlement, the slums. And the color blue is because of the polythene sheets that people put on top of their roof, specifically in the rainy seasons. And again, at the far end, you see a lovely city of Mumbai. Given this particular stark difference, I would first like to talk about the census and the data about what Mumbai is. As you can see, Mumbai is a coastal city on the western part of India, and it is the administrative capital of the state of Maharashtra, India, and it's also known as the financial capital. Now, Mumbai has the district of Mumbai has a area of about 157 square kilometer, and it is one of the India's largest, as well as in one of the world's largest urban agglomeration. It has got 24 wards, and it has around 3 crore population, which is basically 30 million population, and the male and female ratio is around 1.6 crore male. We have got 1.4 crore female. The decadal population growth in this particular city has been negative, which is minus 7.57, and the average density in this area is 19,000 people per square kilometer. Literacy rate of this particular city is around 89.2%. And you can see on the left hand side the map of Mumbai and the respective wards of each of the wards of Mumbai. And in here you can see it is the Arabian Sea, and this is the creeks. And these are and the northern part of the Mumbai is basically the Mumbai suburbs. So you can easily understand that the Bombay city cannot grow beyond this place. It is basically landlocked from other three sides. The city of Mumbai evolved from 7 islands initially, and then through landfilling, all of these islands were actually uh, packed together, and today what we see is the Mumbai city shaped like this. In 1925 till today, on the right hand side is the land use map of Mumbai as per current situation. And the natural open spaces, the forests, the water bodies are all there. You can see in this part of the city, and you can easily understand from 1925 to 2011, the city has lost much of its green cover. That's quite evident, and this loss is continued even today. Given this situation, now I'll talk about the housing in Mumbai. With more than half of its population residing in slums, housing is one of the major challenges. City has and because it is the economic capital of the country, it has encountered high rate of in-migration. The migration has been happening over centuries, and that's the reason why the in-migration has been high, and the demand of housing has been very high. And as we can see from the previous slides, the land is of huge shortage. The city can only grow northward. And then, of course, and there has been excessive government regulation, which added up to the housing crisis, which we will be discussing a little bit more in details. And because of this, the gap exists in housing and its supply. And this gap is predominantly in the lower income group and economically weaker section. MHADA, which is called the Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority, is also responsible for housing supply, especially for the lower middle income group, economically weaker section, whereas the private developers take up the major role when it comes to supplying to the high income group and the luxury apartments. The Mumbai housing stock somehow looks like this. We have in this particular city, you have pavement dwellers, slums, chawls, slum rehabilitation housing, economically weaker sections, MIG and HIG, which is public housing, which I have already discussed, it's supported and provided by MHADA. And then you have a separate set of 1 BHK, 1 bedroom, hall and kitchen apartments, and 2 to 3 and 3 plus, which are luxury apartments, and these are all formal sectors, and these are mostly developed by the private sectors. And the percentage of stock, as you can see, clearly shows that there is a huge gap here at the middle income group and the slum rehab, as well as here when you say a majority of the people are staying in this particular stock of housing, which obviously is not livable or has a detrimental livability effect on the health itself. Now, to come and understand, to discuss about slums, I would first like to define slums as per the Census of India, which has defined it as a residential area where dwellings are unfit for human habitation by reasons of dilapidation, overcrowding, faulty arrangements and design of such buildings, narrowness of faulty arrangement of street, lack of ventilation, light or sanitation facility, or any combination of these factors which are detrimental to the safety and health. Given this definition, there are actually three kinds of slum: notified, recognized, and identified. Identified is the basic understanding when you have 50 to 60 to 70 people, households form a cluster of people, of 300 people in a place, and then they start living on a place. These are usually found beside a railway line or any of these type of areas, beside a canal of water. And then such slowly become larger, and then they get recognized by the state or the local government, and then they are called recognized slum. And ultimately, when these particular slums are actually notified through a slum act, they are called notified areas or the notified slums. Now, when we go now look into the city, you can see such kind of images, the photographs of some different kinds of slums in and around Mumbai, and the image 3 shows the image of the slum rehabilitation housing, whereas image 2 shows you an interior of a house where a single small room, somehow made a double decked, and they have a informal ladder to climb on the deck. People multi-purposely use these kind of rooms, and there are a lot of social interaction that happens outside these houses. As you can see in image 5, the woman of this place actually spend some time, chat, and that these are social interaction spaces. Whereas the other stark image is you see from the infrastructure point of view, you will see a huge amount of dumps dumped here and there. The condition of these people are really, of these housings are really poor. You will see nalas. Nalas are nothing but drainage channels, and you will see that the household waste is directly dumped there onto them, and then both from the toilets as well as from the kitchen outlets are directly dumped on this, and people stay in these houses on the both sides of this kind of channels. The issue becomes severe in terms of health effects, specifically after rains, when these becomes flooded, and this leads to different kinds of diseases, right from waterborne diseases, skin diseases, and other diseases. Even we observe a lot of airborne diseases as well as upper respiratory problems, and that is because of the faulty interior layouts of these houses. Now, if we look at the overall, where are these slums located in Bombay? The answer is everywhere. Every ward of Mumbai has considerable amount of slum percentage, and all 24 wards have considerable slum population. And this is as per the development plans preparatory studies, which was published in 2014-15, and which says that around 40% plus are basically of the population lives in the slum or squatter settlements. And this is not a one-off story in India. This is basically the story of all cities. Even in Calcutta, we see considerable amount of slum population in every wards of the city. And this is specifically true for all the old cities which had industrial past, and the industrial past led to the in-migration of population, specifically in the blue-collar sector. And with passage of time, the industries have moved out, but the population remained. They became jobless, and that led to the detrimental economic condition, and so the housing condition deteriorated as well. Now, this is true, as I said, for most of the Indian major cities. Now, if I look into what is there inside, now let me go inside one of the slums. This is one of the photographs from a very well-known slums in India, and specifically in Asia. It's Dharavi. And you see the dark alleys, hardly any sunlight penetrates. During rainy season, the floor of this particular lane where only a single person can walk, that too in a very cautious way, with a water line or a sewage line going on the right hand side. That's the condition of the house. It's moist, and it actually a breeding ground of many kind of diseases. That's how is basically the structure looks like. Now, to counter the slums, government started developing the slum rehabilitation housing. This comes under the jurisdiction of something called the Slum Rehabilitation Authority. The Slum Rehabilitation Authority has been developing housing and trying to, and these are for the project affected people or even for the slums in situ, where the people were shifted from the horizontal slums to these vertical apartments. But the question is whether these are really in a good living condition or they are basically forming a vertical slum. Now that's a question of debate, and that needs a huge introspection. And given this, if you see the images of this particular housing, these are the current status, and these houses are basically one room apartments with a toilet. These houses do have connection to water and electricity, and people who have been registered in a notified slum are actually given this, provided that particular area is developed. In certain cases, you will also find people who are affected by project at different places are also habited, rehabbed in certain kind of slum SRAs here. Now, those are not in situ, and that has a different social problem altogether if somebody is evicted from a local area and moved to a different area. Now, the housing policy transition of Mumbai, as I was discussing, has been right since 1947, when we had the Rent Control Act, which talks about fixing the rent at a fixed value in 1940s level, and this has a huge negative impact on the investment pattern in rental housing. The owners lost interest in maintaining, and the property taxes adversely got affected. And because these are not maintained, some of these cause a lot of issues and problems, specifically uh, uh, leading to demolitions and leading to collapses in certain places. Followed by the Slum Improvement Act. The slums on private lands in this particular act were negatively affected, and there was no resettlement plan for the particular act. Now, and if you see in the beginning, till 1976, all of these acts are actually somehow trying to evict people, or make the city free of slums. It is basically possibly 1991 onwards when slum redevelopment schemes started coming in. When when the administration or the government tried to understand, okay, these people needs to be rehabilitated in this particular city with access to infrastructure, basic services such as water, electricity, cooking fuel. These are all important aspects. Now, when we look into details about these particular acts, when we talk about vacants and again providing services, the major issues become whether these people own or rent, or how long they have been staying in this particular slum. Based on that, they would have the proof of address. Now, a proof of address is important again for the meters, because the meters of, right, be it electricity or it water, it has to have a name and it has to have an address. So these becomes an issue. And this in this many of these slums we have community toilets and community water facilities, and therefore individual access is more or less denied, whereas it is access for a couple of households or several households, maybe 10 or 20 households, to have access to a single toilet or a single water source. Now, as you see in this particular image, the policy evolution in Mumbai, as I said, the natural growth as well as the immigration of the population, and that's how the city of Mumbai has grown over the years. And slum rehab, as I said, in 1995 is when it started to happen. And slum upgradation program, which is started in 1985. So from upgradation, in situ upgradation, to rehabilitation program, and that can be again, as I said, in situ or in a different site. Now, in nutshell, if I want to describe what we have been doing, is that what I discussed is that the living condition that we described is detrimental to health. The images clearly show that, both for the indoor and the outdoor environment. The policy efforts evolved, as I said, from eviction to redevelopment, and now finally to rehabilitation. Efforts were put in by the policymakers to provide services to all. Now we have got water, electricity, cooking fuel, and access to toilet in almost each tenement in slum rehabilitation housings. And so is the case which has been attempted in the major slums. There are certain papers that I would request you to go through for more details, understanding, for detailed analysis of the policies that I just mentioned in this particular lecture. And also the living conditions can also be understood and read from some of the papers that are mentioned here. In continuation with this particular lecture, I would be discussing about the access to electricity and water supply, both from the context of demand and supply in the context of Mumbai in the next lecture. Thank you very much for joining today. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.